I had built an empire. At least that's what everyone told me. My name is Zara Malik, and I'm the CEO of a tech company that's on the rise. But despite all my success, I felt like something was missing. People called me ambitious, powerful, a woman to look up to in an industry dominated by men. And I had the accolades to prove it. Huge deals, millions of dollars in revenue, and respect in my field. Yet the more I gained, the more I lost. I was constantly working, pushing my limits, always on the grind. Every minute of my life was consumed by my work. But there was one thing I had neglected, my personal life. My phone buzzed, and I snapped out of my thoughts. It was an invitation to the most prestigious gala in the tech world, the one event where being seen with the right people was everything. I scanned the details quickly. "Come with a date," the invitation read. I sighed. A date? Who could I ask? Most of my acquaintances were business contacts, and the idea of dating someone from my world felt like mixing work with something that was already too overwhelming. I had no one personal in my life. The clock ticked down, and the event was tomorrow. No date, no solution. I tried to shake the thoughts, but they wouldn't leave me. The gala would be a disaster without someone to accompany me, someone who wouldn't add more stress, someone who didn't need to be on the same level of prestige as everyone else. I needed someone real, someone who wouldn't be intimidated by my world. Then I remembered him, Shamsher. He was a plumber I had hired a few months ago to fix a leaky faucet in my kitchen. I didn't know much about him, but I remembered the ease with which he did his job. There was something about him that had stayed with me. He wasn't flashy, didn't talk much, and always did his job well. Despite his simple nature, there was something genuine in his smile that made him stand out. Was desperate, so I called him. The phone rang a few times, and then I heard his voice on the other end. "Shamsher, it's Zara Malik. I know this is strange, but I need your help," I began, feeling slightly uncomfortable. "There's this gala tomorrow, and I need someone to come with me. You don't need to do anything other than be there as my date. It's just for one night." There was a long silence. Was he even interested in this? Did he want to help me, a stranger who was offering him an opportunity out of nowhere? He replied slowly, "Why me?" "Because you're different," I said, before adding quickly, "You won't feel out of place and, well, I trust you. It's just for one night. No strings attached." There was hesitation, but then he agreed. And that was the moment everything changed. Little did I know, this simple decision would lead to a connection I never expected, and a lesson I needed to learn. The night of the gala arrived, and as I prepared for the event, I couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and nervousness. I stood before the mirror, adjusting my gown. I looked perfect, every detail in place, but as I took one last look at my reflection, I felt a pang of loneliness. What was the point of all this if no one truly knew me? When Shamsher arrived at the venue, he stood there in a simple, well-fitting suit, his presence humble, yet solid. As soon as I saw him, I was struck by the contrast between him and the lavish crowd. He didn't fit in with their glitzy clothes or polished smiles, but he carried himself with a quiet confidence that I admired. He wasn't trying to impress anyone, and that was rare in a world where everyone wore their achievements like badges of honor. As we entered the gala together, I noticed the stares. Some people looked at us with confusion, others with curiosity. But there was something grounding about his presence. I had spent so much time in these environments, and yet his simple honesty was refreshing. We mingled with the crowd, and I noticed how he interacted with the guests. He wasn't fazed by their status or their questions. He was comfortable with himself, and he had a way of making people feel at ease. We found ourselves talking more and more as the night went on. At one point, we sat down at a table, and that's when the real conversation began. "You know," he said, "I'm not really one for events like this. My job keeps me busy, I have kids at home, and I try to focus on them, make sure they're growing up well. There it was. His life wasn't glamorous, but it was real. He was a hard-working man who put his family first. No boardroom meetings, no corporate networking, just the daily grind of trying to provide for his loved ones. As I listened to him talk about his family, his business, and his dreams, I realized how much he valued the simple things in life. He didn't want fame or fortune. He just wanted stability for his family. He worked tirelessly, day in and day out, not for recognition, but for a future that would ensure his children had more opportunities than he had. In that moment, something shifted within me. I had spent my life chasing after success, but in doing so, I had sacrificed the very things that mattered most, genuine connections and a sense of belonging. Shamsher, with all his struggles and simplicity, seemed to have something that I lacked: peace. The night went on, and as we left the gala, I realized that this simple man, who had no idea of the high society world I lived in, had taught me something valuable. It wasn't about who you knew, how much you earned, or the title you held. It was about the authenticity you carried with you. After the gala, things started to shift in my mind. I was back at the office, managing my business as usual, but I couldn't stop thinking about Shamsher. His words echoed in my mind. I'm not really one for events like this. He wasn't. Part of my world, but his integrity, his groundedness, had touched me deeply. A few days later, I got a message from him. He was in trouble. His plumbing business was failing. Bills were mounting, his resources were stretched thin, and he didn't know where to turn. It hit me hard. I had the means to help him, but would he accept it? He had never asked me for anything before. I picked up the phone, my hands trembling a bit as I dialed his number. When he answered, I said, "Shamsher, I know things have been tough. I want to help you. Your business has so much potential, and I believe in you. Let me help you grow it." He was quiet on the other end. I could hear the hesitation, the pride. "I don't know," he said. "You don't have to do this." "I want to," I insisted. "You're not alone in this. Let me help you take it to the next level." And with that, a new chapter began for both of us. Over the next few months, I worked with Shamsher, helping him expand his business. We worked together to improve his marketing, streamline his operations, and build stronger client relationships. It wasn't easy, but with each small success, Shamsher gained confidence. His business started growing, and so did his self-belief. I also found myself changing. The more I helped Shamsher, the more I realized what true success meant. It wasn't about the number of zeros in your bank account or how many high-profile clients you could land. It was about the impact you made, the relationships you built, and the people you helped. Shamsher's business blossomed, and so did our partnership. But more importantly, I had learned to value what truly mattered. My company continued to thrive, but this time, I had a clearer understanding of what I wanted out of life. It wasn't just about building wealth. It was about building a legacy of meaningful connections and real success. As for Shamsher, he went from being a struggling plumber to a thriving entrepreneur. His family life improved, his kids had better opportunities, and he was proud of what he had built. He wasn't just a plumber anymore. He was a businessman, a father who had found his path to success. In the end, we both found that the true value of life wasn't in the titles or the wealth. It was in the relationships we built, the people we helped, and the legacy we left behind. Moral of the story: true success isn't measured by how much you have. It's about the lives you impact and the authenticity you carry with you. When you help others rise, you create a ripple effect that elevates everyone.